Now, 4 years on since Boris Johnson's so-called Freedom Day, campaigners are back. And this time, they've gone big. Now, with images projected onto Parliament, onto Tower Bridge and onto number 10 Downing Street, the Together Association is warning of a creeping digital surveillance state and demanding a new digital bill of rights. Well, I'm delighted to say I'm joined in the studio in Westminster by the co-founder of the Together Association, Alan Miller. Alan, always an absolute pleasure. So, way back in the dark days of lockdowns, a lot of us were very, very concerned about things like COVID, passports, how these big pressure points are being used to force all of us to become ostensibly walking barcodes. 4 years on, here we are. Tell us about your campaign.
So our campaign, Martin, is to say that 4 years on, Boris, just to remind people, Boris Johnson, Freedom Day, but we're going to have vaccine passports. Vaccine passports that don't do anything except for make an intrusion on people. And lots of people challenged this. We had over 360,000 signatures. We went to Downing Street. We'd lost 45,000 care workers who wouldn't get a mandatory jab, but they'd been working for a year. We then have a situation where we did stop that happening to care workers, NHS 100, and many of us campaigned. It became very apparent that they fell back on the vaccine passport then, but now there's a push. There's a push around new things. They're saying, well, for borders and crime and for fraud and just going down the pub, that they're attempting to implement this.
OK, I just need to interrupt a moment, just to go back through some of the moments. And Tony Blair is a man who always comes up in this conversation. Tony Blair, of course, has been after digital IDs since the very beginning. We saw actually, Alan Miller, during lockdowns, where Israel had the world's most potent digital ID. I think it's called their Green Pass. You had to have this Green Pass to go to the synagogue, to go to the supermarket, to go to the library. Tony Blair wanted the same in Britain.
It's absolutely scandalous. I mean, Tony Blair, whenever there's a situation, his answer is, let's have digital ID. Winston Churchill was right in 1952 when he said that is not the way that we do it here in Britain. No national identity cards. We've got passports, Martin. We've got driver's licences. The people who say it's good for borders and migration, how's that going to help with people who are in Epping or anywhere else right now? We should have a strong border force and proper policing without fear or favour. The idea that people who throw away passports on ID are somehow going to be on this digital ID scheme, it's going to be us, the public. And the concerns are myriad. There's concerns around tracking us. The head of the Bank of International Settlements has said, if we got central bank digital currency, which the EU has now got and 27 nations are pushing, we can track every transaction. Yeah. There's a question of debanking, and we've seen all that happen. People will be aware of it around political views. Free speech online, the Online Safety Act, the Digital Services Act in the EU. And just so many people who are excluded, who can't get on apps, older people, a range of them, or may not just want to be on there. We've campaigned around cash and freedom of speech, but this digital Bill of Rights is where everything is held together.
Alan Miller, I want to press you on a story I covered earlier on, which I think I'm in broad agreement with a lot of what you say. But Notting Hill Carnival this year, they're thinking about for the first time having facial recognition of everybody to try and track knife criminals, rapists, violent criminals. And it makes me think, do you know what? Is that a price worth paying? If we can weed out the worst amongst us, is it a price worth paying for all of us? What would you say to that?
It's a very serious question. Is it a price worth paying to lock everyone away so there's no crime? Let them be locked at home. Let's carry on the lockdown. And then just, not let anyone do anything. There are risks in society, but we need policing without fear or favour. We need intelligence gathering. We need proper attention to that. We don't need DEI policies and police dancing around in all these mad outfits. What we need is robust policing without fear or favour, research gathering. Facial recognition for the whole of Britain is a problem. But we know they've got CCTV cameras everywhere, Martin, but there's issues with dealing with crime. We need to implement the laws that we've got with robust authority. We need to dispense with this mad DEI obsession, but we need not to allow the creeping, and it's not just the fact that they're pushing the idea of a brick card, it's that GovUK have a digital wallet, and increasingly they're trying to push everyone towards it. And together we're asking everyone to do the consultation that the parliamentary inquiry is doing, because they like to keep that under wraps a bit, but there's a consultation. And we're saying, please get involved. All your viewers, get involved with the togetherdeclaration.org. Have your voices heard. We've stopped this before. We can do it again. We need a national debate about privacy, about surveillance, about autonomy, and then to ring fence all those liberties and the freedoms that our ancestors have fought for. They're really essential. I'd invite everyone to get involved.
Alan Miller, passionate as ever. Great to see you. Thanks for coming to the show. Appreciate your time. That's the co-founder of the Together Association, Alan Miller.